Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. My name's Shane. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, it's your lucky day. You've earned yourself a gold star. This here is for you because you came back. So if you want to get yourself a gold star, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel below and turn on notifications if you're
even cooler.
Alright, so today's video is going to be based on my drift car back there, kind of what I've been doing to it, how it's set up right now, and kind of what my plans are for the off season. Let's kind of go over the car. So this is my 1993 BMW E36 sedan. We're just gonna keep it on these go jacks so that I can move it around and show you different parts of it because it's a little bit cramped in the shop right now. First things first, you can see that it's a bit of a mess right now. I got in a bit of collision with my teammate Graham, so I'm still fixing the damage here, but there's going to be a lot done to this car in the off season, so it's going to be completely overworked pretty much look wise anyways. But let's go over the current look of it right now. We got a genuine AC Schnitzer front bumper. I had to actually trim it, I'm sorry AC fanboys, but to fit my bash bar. Anyways, it was just a little bit of trimming. It's got some updated grills. Let's pop this off because it's not really on there. Anyways, we've still got the welded bash bar that bolts into the stock locations. I added some teeth to it because it's pretty
cool, right?
Anyways, the car is just primer gray right now because I was going to paint it to match the Fanboys Drift Team cars with the white stripes and the blue paint. But since we're going to be changing our color and our livery this off season, I won't have to paint it blue. And with the stripes, we're going to see what's next, and I'm really excited for a new design, and we can all come out looking the same color. As you can tell, these aren't stock fenders. These are just custom made sheet metal flares that I welded on. They're about just over 4 inches wide, and they stick out probably a good 100 millimeters or more. Because of my angle kit, the control arms are 2 inches wider than stock, and it pushes out the wheel a lot. Plus, I run, these are Mil Miglias 17 by 8.5 with an offset of -13, and I usually run 15 mil spacers, but they're currently sitting on my wagon. So yeah, I stole the spacers for my front wheels so that I can drive my wagon around because it's got some
meaty fitment.
And we will do a video on that car too. Now we got these side skirts here. They are just stock side skirts, but what I did was...
Fucking phone! Knock it off. Stop it, thank you.
What I did to make these side skirts look a little bit more flared out, pretty simple really. If you can see there, I just took a metal tab and mounted it to the fender and then mounted it to the side skirt to kind of give it a bit of a gap in between the car and the fender so it's not sitting flush. Same thing was done to the rear as well. Really simple, easy, and then I just riveted it to the car because this is just a drift car and it's been banged up, so it's not going to be any show car quality here, boys and girls. As you can see, I have a ton of tire slap all over the car. The primer loves to show that off. And the same thing back here, custom sheet metal over fenders, but this one got mangled. Something to do with this wheel. As you can see, it cut into it pretty bad there, but that's I'm not sure if I'm gonna just remake these metal over fenders or if I should get some fiberglass ones. Comment down below what you think I should do there. These are a lot cheaper obviously to make, but they're a bit of a pain in the ass when you bend them because they're really never going to be the same again. Another little style additive we got here is these cool mirror flares. We got these from Platform Garage, so I'll link their channel right here. Go check them out. They're pretty cool guys. They run a shop locally here. We got the Fanboys banner up there, which is probably going to be changing too. That's my drift car number. That's how I'm recognized at the dirt track. So as you can tell, this car is pretty home ec when you look at it style wise. I've kind of just done everything myself to make it look a little bit better than stock rather than spending a ton of money on expensive aero kits and whatnot, but I mean, I would love to. I am really considering over fenders and maybe an aero kit still for the new livery because I've learned to drive this car not so recklessly in the case that I'm going to destroy it. Now I can probably stay away from other people and walls a little better now. So to show you the rest of the car, I'm just going to quickly move it on the go jacks so we can check out the rear end. Quickly look at the other side, it's not much different, and take a look at the exhaust, and then that'll be it for kind of like the look of the car. And then we'll move on to what I got going on for suspension and steering. The trunk is probably my least favorite part about this car because it's been hit on walls and whatnot too many times and it's just not straight anymore. So as you can see, I got some wall drag marks. This has been just completely ripped open because I hit a barrier and it just scooped out my light, messed that up. This side is pretty much all good. This fender didn't get destroyed, which is nice, besides this one little crease, but that's alright. Same thing with the side skirts, and I gotta repair my fender, which is just sitting in the car. Fender's pretty damaged, so I'm probably just gonna have to cut this off and re-weld a piece if I don't go with over fenders. This is just a stock rear bumper with the valence taken off so that I can have my rear bash bar piece here for jacking on and my dual exhaust tip I got going on. Funny story about this exhaust, actually. So a long time ago, not too long ago, probably a while ago anyways, I ordered BMW rear camber arms so that I could adjust my rear camber and zero it out, get more grip. But what do you know, what comes in the mail is a Lexus IS250/IS350 dual exhaust. So, but I didn't get my camber arms, so I just kept the exhaust and ended up cutting it up and welding it to this car and making it work anyways, because might as well. So that's the story behind my dual exhaust. Not really going to jack up the car and take a good look at it because it is what it is, but we will definitely fire it up and give you a scope of what it sounds like. Ooh, she's a little moist after sitting for a while here. Oh, it stinks in here. Got the fan going, I don't want to die filming a video out here. Not too bad for a fully custom hack job exhaust. I have, so this car runs an M52 2.8 liter, basically a stock engine with a chip to give it a little more RPM and delete the O2s and whatnot. But eBay headers down to a couple flex pipes, and then I have a E36 M3 midsection, which has the X pipe and a resonator, and then I have those two IS350 exhaust mufflers that I made into a dual exhaust, and that's about it. So pretty stoked on how it sounds after putting together basically $100 exhaust. I guess we should go over my holy trunk. I did this for two reasons. One, because I thought it would look good, and two, because of smoke dissipation, which I am actually going to be getting rid of the holy trunk and putting a stock one on. I don't know, I want it to be heavier too, so I get more weight on the rear end, pushing down for grip, and it's just super heat when I'm if I'm driving this on the street to the track. I don't want another reason for a cop to pull me over. This leads me into my trunk and what's going on here. As you can see, it's not stock. I basically have cut out the whole wheel well using a zip disc and then welded in a couple of pieces of 1-inch square stock just to have my battery center relocated, because if it was over here it has a very high chance of getting crushed and starting a fire, and also my car was rusted out there, so I cut it out anyways. So it's just empty, 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 and then at the back here there's just a fat piece of flat stock welded to the car, which my bash bar under my bumper mounts to, and it's just kind of reinforced with as many scrap metal pieces as I could find to keep it a little stronger in case it gets tapped. That way the whole rear end of the car is not going to shift as much as it would with the stock, you know, just sheet metal back here. It's a little stronger. And I've also bent this car a few times before I did this, so once I straightened it, these frame rails got weaker, so it's just another way of strengthening them, relocating the battery at the same time. And then back here I've got my two fuses, because it's required at our track to run fuses, obviously for safety reasons. So we got our big one that runs for the starter, and then we got the other one for the accessory. So we got a 50 amp, and I believe that's a 120 amp for the starter, 50 amp for everything else. That way you can shut everything off when the car is not being used, and they should break if there's a collision and a short. So that's about it for the rear end of the car. I guess you guys want to see what is powering this thing. Alright, so this is what the drift car runs off of. This is the heart of the power. The power to the rear wheels goes right through this bad boy right here. So this is basically just a stock M52 2.5 liter straight six, M50 intake manifold upgrade, somewhat of a cold air intake. Those are my eBay headers, which I have a video on installing those. If you want to check that out, I'll do a little dingy icon here. That's all there is to it. It has pretty much a solid clutch setup, which is going to be a single mass flywheel with a unsprung clutch, so it's pretty on-off switch style driving, which is great for a drift car, but it is just a stock clutch disc, so because it's just stock power. Stock cooling system, really no clutch fan, because that ended up destroying a whole bunch of stuff up here and causing a coolant leak, so I took that out. I basically just run this stock AC fan on full blast wired to a switch in the car. So there's really not much else to say about my engine setup besides the transmissions. I get Trek 250. That's about it. So let's move on to my suspension setup, front and rear, and then we'll move on to the interior of the car. Here we are in the back of the car. Here you can see my mediocre weld job on my exhaust. That's basically all there is to it. Going to these mufflers, they're just hung by a couple of round bars and exhaust hangers. Very basic setup. Wanted to keep it simple and cheap. And then for my diff, I have a 391 welded. It looks slightly oily, probably because of the weep hole. It gets hot. You can see kind of where I cut out the rear end here for the wheel well. And then we have basically an eBay rear camber arms on both sides, except for they're not the bushings. They have Heim joints, which are a bit better. The subframe has been dropped. I've welded in all four reinforcement plates for the subframe on the actual car, because they are prone to cracking, especially if you're going to be drifting it and putting stiffer bushings in the rear end. I just have red poly bushings on my subframe on all four. As you can see, there's two. You can't really see the other two. And then I run max speeding rod coilovers. Just not great. I'm pretty sure I actually might have blown them at the last event finally, but I've been running those coilovers for like 2 years now, which is pretty damn good for a cheap set of coilovers. I have a video installing those, so if you want to check that out, there'll be another icon there. One thing you might have noticed in my rear end is that I don't run a sway bar. That's just to give myself a little more grip and a little more control when I'm drifting. Now, it's really a personal preference if you want to run one or not, but I prefer not to. I run my rear shocks on the softer dampening settings. I have really cheap coilovers, so there's not much adjustability I can do. And then I just have a spring rate of 8K in the rear, which I would like to bring down to maybe 6K. And I run a little bit of toe in for a little bit more grip, and basically zero out my camber to get better tire wear. That's about it. With the stock power, that's probably all I need to do for now. So we got the front end of the drift car here. I can't really turn it full lock because of the go jacks. They're going to hit my fenders. Now, I do think I have that popped off, that rack boot, because I was checking my inner tie rod for wiggliness. Now, the front here, I run a 325 IS front sway bar with poly bushings, and I run an E-Factory angle kit. I have a video on that as well if you want to go check that out. Honestly, like, super good angle kit with tons of angle, and it's very cheap for what you get out of it. And then we have the max speeding rod coilovers, same thing up here. They run about medium stiffness for dampening and 8K spring rate. And then we run Nitto Neogen tires up front for grippers, which are pretty decent for the price. And I have a, if you can see the skid plate right there, that is basically a 1994 stock vert skid plate. They come with it. Kind of a rare piece, but so I run to kind of protect the oil pan. Stock steering rack. This angle kit bolts to the car without modifying anything really. And as you can see, I have a really shifty fan shroud going on here because it broke, and without fixing it, it wouldn't cool the car properly. So it is what it is, but I do plan on upgrading my cooling system as well this year. So there's going to be a lot more to come on this car. Unfortunately, I can't really give you a good look at the angle kit right now because of the Go Jacks. Go check out my angle kit video so you can get a good look at that. And also at the end of this video, I'll put some videos of me drifting with the angle kit so you get a good idea of how it works. When it comes to front wheel alignment, keep in mind I do usually run spacers so it actually is more flush with the car. But I have a ton of camber. Like, this is really all I can deal with this coilover setup. So I believe I have about 7 to 9 degrees of camber, 6 degrees of caster, which would be the angle of the strut for self-steer. If it points towards you, let's just say, you get more self-steer. If it's straight up or the other way, the car is not going to want to steer itself when you're drifting, which is really annoying. So this is all adjustable within my kit that I have for angle. For toe, I basically run a little bit of toe out or zero. A little bit of toe out's going to give you more of a turn in, so you can kind of snap into your drifts a little easier, and then zero is just going to be just kind of more of a basic alignment setup for drifting and a good starting point. And last but not least, let's check out the interior of the car. Now, from this angle, we got my Recaro rep seat. It's a carbon fiber rep, and then we have a Momo seat over there for the passenger. Stepping on inside, let's take a seat. In front of me here, we got my legit Sparco wheel. Suede, I believe it's a 345. It's an awesome wheel. I love this wheel so much. We got a stock dash here. I've done some custom work to it. If you watched some of my videos in the past. Sorry it's a bit dark in here, but I really don't have an option right now. This is basically just this Amazon switch panel that has USB and 12 volt plug-in, and then multiple switches where I've got my gauges wired up to it. I got my electric fan wired up to it. And we got our platform garage lanyard here, repping. My hydraulic e-brake, it's just a pass-through style, so it runs with the rear brake lines. Really simple setup. This is a really cheap setup. I believe it cost me like $50. We're running it for 2 years, and it actually works awesome with the long leverage bar. Did a bit of customization to it. And one of my most recent favorite upgrades here is going to be my Click tuning tunnel mount shifter. It's super solid shifter. It took a bit to get used to because it's so short, but it's adjustable so you can make it a little bit of a longer gear shift. But so it just clicks into gear. It's super solid. It's a bit pricey, but definitely worth the upgrade. You can also take these off and change the knobs if you want to, but I'm really liking this setup. Just kind of a custom little panel here. This is part of my mount for my hydraulic e-brake, so I can extend the tunnel outwards and get this mounted nice and solid. We got another kill switch in here just to kill the car. The car is just pretty much gutted. Other than that, sunroof delete, just a metal panel riveted to the roof with some sealant. Got a little bit of a wider mirror, and our guy here, Superman. Of course, you gotta have the fire extinguisher, but mine, of course, I was moving stuff around and it kind of discharged a little bit, so I gotta get a new one, unfortunately. And a stock handbrake setup, just for safety. If something happens, I can put this on. I don't really use it besides parking in the pits and whatnot. Got the baller ham end handle here that I got in a car I was parting out, so I was like, might as well put it in the drift car. Alright, so I think I got pretty much everything covered, talking about my drift car there. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but if you guys have any questions about my car, please comment in the section below and ask me anything about the car or anything about your car that I might be able to help with. Also, if there's anything I feel like you guys might want to see linked to, I'll put a link down in the description below to my E-Factory angle kit and maybe a couple things on my car that you can find on Amazon. Hopefully we can continue making videos during this off season while I'm fixing up the car, making it look a lot better. And also we have a ton of projects going on here at the Fanboys Garage, like this one here. This is Graham's new 240SX coupe shell, which he is completely rebuilding. Actually not sure what he has going on for an engine yet. It's kind of up in the air still. He's got some nice new wheels right here. Got Aaron's E36, which he's going to be reshelling, basically because this car can't be driven on the road because it was written off years ago and he wants to drive on the road, so he's reshelling. And this isn't Kevin's drift car, but this is one of his 240s. This is a SR in it. It used to be a drift car, but it's not the plans anymore. He has a Toyota E36 with an RB20 in it that he drifts, and he's pretty sick too, I guess. If you guys want to see more videos, definitely drop a like. That'll encourage us to make more videos this off season while we're working on the cars, and then continue on while we're drifting. Get some more footage there as well. We've been lacking a little bit. So thanks everybody for watching my video. If you want that gold star, remember to subscribe. We'll catch you guys next time.